Hello, it's Alex Goodall here from Your Digital Ally with a update video on the state of play of the bonus that I'm creating for SyndLab2. So as with the previous video, I'm not going to give a demonstration of SyndLab2. That's adequately demonstrated with a lot of case studies on the sales page. So if you've not taken a look at that, then I recommend you look at that first just to get a feel for what SyndLab is about. What I'm showing here is the review SyndLab account, because it's got lots of stuff in it rather than my own, which actually hasn't got anything at the moment. So I'm using this to sort of get input as to what SyndLab looks like and the reporting and the features and so on when there's something there. So as you can see, you've got you create accounts and you give a name to the account, and that tells you what service the account is based on, and whether it's the type, whether it's a bookmark, a blog, social, and bookmark, or the various, four or five different types of service, as they call them. That's the first thing. So let me jump over to my, this is the bonus. So the bonus is a management tool for SyndLab. So I immediately realize I need to change these, so I will call this service, and this, rather than class, they're calling that type. I don't like type much, but anyway, we'll keep the same terminology. In fact, I'll call it service type. There we go. So what you do, first of all, the issue is if you're going to use this seriously, you're going to be creating dozens, potentially hundreds of accounts, and you need a systematic way to name these accounts. Obviously people are just playing around here and they haven't been at all systematic in naming all these accounts. There's a number of JVs have got access to this and they're just creating stuff at random. So you can see that when you've got dozens, potentially hundreds of accounts, you need to be clear about naming them so that you can keep track. So the first benefit of my social accounts manager is it will automatically create names for you based on a very systematic approach. So when you create an account, you pick the service, and there's a drop down, so all the services that are available are listed there. So let's create a new one. Actually, let's leave that as it was. So create a new one, and let's say it's YouTube. So it immediately tells you it's a video type. At the moment, I'm not doing anything with this. I may well add some more information, some more columns based on the service type, but at the moment it's just listed there for your reference. And then you want to put some name down that is your reference name. So this might be the name of the YouTube account. So let me call it YouTube training, something like that. YouTube training. And what's going to appear here is an automatically created account name. So it's wanting something else. The other thing that I've added since the last video was, and I knew I was going to need to do it, is the brand or client. So say, I've got a number of brands. I've got the Your Digital Ally brand, I've got my Internet Professionals brand, I've got various different brands. And the place I would define my brands is in this meta tab. You've got all the relevant things that appear in the drop downs, and here I would put my brands. And in fact, let me put YDA, Your Digital Ally, IP. And I've got another brand which I usually refer as INJ. So when I've got my brands listed there, I can then pick them from down here. Let me say this is a YDA brand, and right away, there's a little bug there. They've got a minor sign of ping there. It shouldn't. Anyway, actually, let me just try this. No. Okay. The point is, it is naming my account reference, hang on a second. Okay, I've got my own system. I need to document it. When I create the brand, so what I would do here, I would put the full brand name there, Your Digital Ally, and the code I use for the brand I would put there. That's it. And so on. So then, so here I would pick the full brand name, and it looks up the code and it precedes the account reference with the code for the brand. Now, instead of brand, it could be client. So in particular, if you've got a number of clients, you would put the client names there. So I've given some examples. I've got client 1, client 2, and I'd have some code for them, CL1, CL2. So this is a way of automatically including the brand or the client name, let's say that's client 1, in front of the, as part of the account reference. The next code, YTB, is a reference to the service, it's YouTube, and then you've got the actual name that you put in there, and you want maybe to put the date that you set up the account, or you're going to set up the account. There's scope for putting the parent account in, so for example there, that, keep changing the names of everything now. For example, if you've got a Facebook page, that's got to be related to a particular Facebook account, and you can choose that account there if it's in the list. If you want, you can also put the login information there and some notes about the account. So this is your management page for naming all the accounts that you create. So my recommendation would be to sit down beforehand and say, what am I going to do? What am I going to create? So for a particular brand, you're just getting going, maybe you've only got one brand. Oh, by the way, if you don't want to bother with brands, you just choose default and it just sticks an X in front. So these X ones are saying, well, it's just, I'm not using brands at the moment, I'm just going to stick X in front of everything for now. Then later on, if you have a client or have a brand, then you can still differentiate them. All the X ones are the ones you created before, and then you've got some other brand IDs at the beginning for later on. So sit down and say, well, for now I'm going to create a Facebook page, maybe create 3 Facebook pages, 10 Twitter accounts, a Digio account, a YouTube account, 2 WordPress accounts. All the accounts you're going to create, work it all out beforehand so that your naming conventions make sense, your reference names make sense, and then go through and create them all and put the dates down that you've created them. That's stage 1. Stage 2 is to group them together. In fact, you probably want to think about these things at the same time. You might be switching between creating accounts and deciding on the groups. So what happens with groups is account groups. There we go. So account groups is a way of basically just grouping accounts together. You can create a new group, and so that's got 24 accounts in. I think if I edit it, I should be able to see all the accounts within that group. There we go. So this group called ZB Campaign contains all these accounts, and there's a mixture of social, blog, bookmark, and so on. So a group is just a collection of accounts. Now you've got all the information there. What you haven't got, you can't go, I think, to an account and find out all the groups it's in. Let me just double check that. No, there's nothing to tell you. Okay, yes, it appears here. So when you go to an account, you've got all the assigned groups it's in, and in fact you can add new groups there. So you've got this information here, but it's actually quite useful to have it. I've changed all these names now, never mind. when you're doing your planning, this is actually quite convenient. So you put in the account name, you put in the group. I haven't been particularly imaginative in giving my groups names. You should do that, clearly. And again, you create your group names here, and you can put some notes here to say what the group is about. So you can keep track of what the groups are about. So you create your groups, think about how you're going to use them, and then say, well, okay, I'm going to have these groups, and what we can do, for example, we can have a look at, just pick a particular group and see all the accounts in that group just by using the filtering function of Google Sheets. And conversely, I can pick an account and see all the groups that account is in. And there is an ID for the sort of group account combination. There's not really much value in that, if you like. It's the that doesn't really tell you much, but it's just some sort of reference that could be created. The point is, this is it sort of duplicates what's on SyndLab, so you don't necessarily need to use it, but I do like to keep everything all in one place, so I would probably keep this account and group reference here. Also, during the planning, this is the place where you can plan it all ahead. You can't in SyndLab, you can't plan stuff. You can only just do it. You can sort of implement it right away. I like to sort of, at least to begin with, start planning to a certain degree, and then you go and do, and then you do a bit more planning, then you go and be a bit more doing. That's the way things get developed. But this is a good place to do a bit of planning beforehand for the groups. And then the last thing is, once you've got your groups set up and your accounts and the links between them, then you create campaigns. And the campaign would be, and I haven't finished working on the campaign section yet, but so the campaign will have a name, it will have a target. Well, the target can either be an account or a group, and a start date, and the total number of accounts, and whether you drip it or not, and so on. So let me find a group. Let's look at that one. No, I don't want to clone. I want to edit. Can't edit that. Okay. Delete. Retry. Can't see an obvious way to edit that. Anyway, this is this is where the syndications happen. Syndication campaigns. And at the moment, and I will probably enhance this, I've got a way of referencing that here. So notice again the naming of these. There is no, it's random. Clearly, no one's really given much thought to it. But you're going to be creating a lot of campaigns, and you might want to keep track of them and have some reference to their success, how well they're done, and some comments. There's no place where you can do that up here. So that's what the syndication campaign tab is for. So the first of all, it automatically creates a name for you, and this is how it works. So to create a new campaign, the setup date, the date you actually create it, the date you want to schedule it to run. So I want this to run 31st of March, and nothing is appearing here until I got all the right information in. This is a validation. You'll see this working in a minute. I can give a particular reference to the campaign, so I might say this is to do with I don't know, some track AF promo, some affiliate thing that I'm promoting, and then I can select which account I'm going to do the syndication to, or which group I'm going to do the syndication to. And if I pick an account and a group, it gives me an error. You can either pick an account or a group. So let's say I'm going to pick a group. So I have to delete one of those, and then it's happy. And then I can say whether it's going to be dripped. So dripping is where it's spread out over time. I may or may not give slots to put information about the dripping here. That might be going a little bit too far for the amount of information that's stored here. But oh yes, the other thing, by the way, dripping can only happen on group campaigns. If I try to say I'm going to drip an account campaign, it tells me you can only drip a group campaign. So you're not allowed to put any invalid information in. Well, if you do, it'll tell you it quite clearly. So having done that, I've said when I schedule it, I've given it a campaign reference of my own. I'm saying whether it's an account or a group, and which group, and whether it's dripped. It will automatically create the name for my campaign. So there's the date in year, month, day order. So this is useful, so you can then order the campaigns by the date, just by ordering the names. And then you've got the group name or the account name, depending on which you're doing. If it's dripped, there's a D. If you've included a campaign reference, it appears at the end. If you don't include a campaign reference, nothing appears at the end. So that keeps that automatically, you keep track of all your campaigns. And again, you might want to plan these ahead of time and have some reference here to the success or otherwise of the campaigns. So I'm actually quite a long way through developing this. There's a bit more work to do. Hopefully by the end of this week it will be ready. So if you're buying the product, do not forget to send me your receipt for the purchase, and I will send you a copy of this as soon as it's ready, probably by the end of the week, very latest the next weekend. And as I amend it and enhance it, if I do, then I will send you updates. You'll have to put the update information in yourself, and I'll give you instructions as to how to do that. But this will get you going quite a long way. As I said, I think I said before, I'm using a particular approach to creating effectively a database type system using Google Sheets, and I will one day, I keep telling myself, and so I'm semi-announcing it now, turn this into a product to explain how you can create your own systems like this, and possibly sell ready-made applications like this one. So this could be used even without SyndLab, just as a way of keeping track of social accounts that you create. Just on here, there's the service type, the reference, and the brand. So if you're without using SyndLab, if you're managing social media accounts for clients or for your own, here's a great way of keeping track of them all. Okay, that's it. This has gone on for quite a long time, but I hope you found that useful. Don't forget, SyndLab closes, so I'm led to believe, midnight tonight EST. So just a few hours left.